My name is Ahmed Aonuga, student number 8736945. This is the first part of the Python project. Basically what it does is to accept an absolute path to a directory. Then we search for a file extension, and if it's present, it prints out the result on the screen. So we start with import OS statement. What this module does is to access files and directories in the OS. Then we define a function absolute path that takes two arguments, the path to the parent directory and the directory we are about to search. Then we use the os.path.join function to link the parent directory and the directory we are about to search, the two paths together the absolute path. Then the os.chdr path is to change into the working directory, to change the path into our working directory. Then we use the os.listdr method. It returns the names of the files and directories found in our working directory, and it saves them into a variable dr content. Then we use a for loop to loop through the returned lists one at a time. Then we use the x.endWith method to check if any of the item end with the file extension .txt. Then at the end of the day, we use the print statement to print the item that end with the file extension on the screen. So the last code here is the absolute path, which is basically calling the function and giving the two arguments, which are the path to the parent directory and the name of the directory we want to search. Now if I run the code, you can see, so it gives the result note.txt, test.txt till we have tools underscore share.txt. So basically these are the files that end with the extension .ts in the absolute path that we specified. Now let's move to the second part of the Python project. So the second part of the Python project is more or less the same thing as what we have in the first part, but here we are just making it interactive. So we begin by getting three information from the user. The first one is the name of the directory the user is about to search. Then also we ask the user to enter the file extension of the file. Then at the end we all ask the user to specify some characters that the files begins with. So now let's go through the code one by one. So we have the import OS and the import RE statement. Basically what they do is to import the necessary modules that allow us work with files and directories, and they also make use of regularized expressions easily. Then we have the print statement that says enter the name of the directory to search. We said that before. Then the result is being stored in a variable dir name. Then we move on another step by using another print statement. Enter the type of the file you want to search by indicating. So basically we are telling the user to enter the file extension. Then we save the result or the input into the variable file extension. Then we use string manipulation, that's .lower, to turn all the inputs gotten from the user, we turn everything into the lower case. Then we move to the next question. Enter the starting few characters of the file name. So then the results we got from that, we store it into a variable file name initials. Then we do the same thing again, but it's using the lower, which is a string manipulation, to turn the input into the lower case. So we're doing that basically so that there will be uniformity in the search. For instance, if you use the capital letter, if you supply capital letter, then in the search, if we have a lower case, it will still match with it. Then we move to the next part of the code, which is the main part of the code, and we define it with a function dir content match. It accepts those three arguments, which is the directory name, the file extension, and the few characters that begins with a file name. Then we have a variable count equals 0. So basically what this variable does is it stores the total number of matches found in the search. Then we have a variable parent dir. So it's a variable that stores our parent directory, the path to the parent directory. Then we have the os path.join. These are the things we said before. So they are basically joining the path to the parent directory and the directory we supplied, or the directory the user supplied. Then we have the os.char dir. Basically it is changing the working directory into the absolute path, or the path that is being specified by the user. Then we have the if statement that checks if a particular file exists. Now the file is the file names.txt. So what we are going to use this file for at the end is to store the list of successful matches. So we are testing if the file exists. So what happens if the file exists? We use the os.remove to delete the file. Why are we doing that? So that we are going to start with a fresh file, and we can input our matches in the files, and we'll be rest assured that the matches are exactly there are no addition to the matches that was inputted in the file. Then we move to the next code, os.listdir. So basically this returns the names of the files and directories found in our present working directory, and we save the result into the variable dir content. Then we use the for loop to loop through the returned list one at a time. Then we save a copy of the return item into the variable hold x, and we use the string variable, or the string manipulation lower, to return the item into the lower case. So we are doing that so that it's going to match easily with the input, because we also, as we've seen initially, we turned the input from the user into the lower case. Now we use an if statement. If x.end with the file extension, that is, if each of the items end with the file extension that was supplied by the user, then what should happen? It moves to this line of code that says re.search. We are using the regular expression here, so we use the regular expression to search for those initial characters that was supplied by the user, just like a guess by the user for the name of the file. Now we have these statements. If result is none, that is, if there is a match, what happens? We open a file. Now we are creating a new file. So we open a file name.txt, and we are using the syntax A, which is append. So basically what append does is it creates the file if the file does not exist, and we can add more data to the file. Then we use the afile.write hold x plus, then we have the return. Now we are using the return key so that each of the file will be written in a new line. So why we use the hold x here is that the file or the match should be in its original form and not the lowercase form. Then we use the afile.close to close the file, and we increment the count for every successful match. So finally, we test our count. If a match was found, it is going to output the message that says the number of the count, and it also points to the path in which the user can get the file. But if the count is zero, or is not greater than 0, then it outputs no matching files found. The last part of the code basically is just calling our function, and it is loading the 3 arguments. Now when I run the code, you see it says enter the name of the directory to search. The name of my directory is test folder, so I enter test folder. Then it asks me the next question: enter the type of file you want to search for. That is the file extension, so I want a .ppt file, pptx file. They say enter the starting few characters of the file item, so I want to search for file items that start with W. So at the end there is a message that says 4 matching files found. The list of the file name retrieved can be found in filename.txt file, and it's telling us the direction in which we can file the file. So let's go to the direction. So I go to my desktop test folder, and the file test, I'll be able to see the list of the matches. So this is my desktop, then I have test folder. Now I'm looking for file names, so this is the file. If I open this file, now these are the list of the matches. You can see week 10, week 11, week 12, week 12, A and B. So you can see these are 4 matches. So that's all about the project. Thank you.